We're live? Are we live?
I don't know. Are we live?
Looks like we're live.
We're going to show up here soon, hopefully.
Well, there's always a latency. There's always a delay.
Yeah, there's that little bit of a delay.
All right, guys. Looks like I see us up there.
Yeah, there we go.
Make sure my audio's off.
Your audio is off?
Well, there's always doesn't sound like it's off. It's off now. So
yeah, mine was up there. Ooh.
All right. So we got the comment section open. Hello, everybody. Welcome to True Christian Talk. This is our 9th episode, Jim. It is New Year's Eve, 2020. The what may be the worst year in American history is almost over.
We pray.
2020 turns 21 and it'll be legal to drink in a couple hours. So we could be in very big trouble.
Hey, Happy New Year to all of our friends out there, family, those that listen. We'd like to get to know more of you. Please respond to us on these Facebook that we're doing. Reach out and just put your comments there. I hope and pray that you had a great Christmas. It is at the end of 2020, and good gosh, it's been one of the years that we will always remember. I got to tell you a quick funny story. I get these pictures of my daughters every year. Every year we get pictures of them, you know. Mm-hmm. We've watched them grow up. And so I was talking to Wendy, and I said, hey, should we get one picture where they have the mask on so we can remember that it's, 2020? She was like, no, we don't want to remember this. We want to forget it. So I didn't get a picture of them with their mask on. So I didn't do that.
Well, we had a good Christmas, right? We had a pretty uneventful Christmas. We had a bombing in Nashville, which was kind of the strangest.
We still don't know. Everybody always says, well, what is your opinion on it? I don't have an opinion right now because nothing's out.
We don't really know anything.
We don't know anything.
So the strange thing is, like the Las Vegas shooting, which you and I spoke about immediately, it died. The story died almost instantly because the politicians couldn't manipulate it anyway. Or, if you're a conspiracy theorist, AT&T building was hired to audit the Dominion machines, and they blew it up with the Dominion machines or whatever, or send them a message not to audit it or something like that.
And there is a rumor of all that going on. There's apparently another building where ballots were stored that has caught on fire and burned to the ground, so we can't look at the ballots, to know, who was voted for and things like that.
So Hillary's alive and well, you're telling me.
There's all sorts of conspiracies out here. Look, do we truly believe that the left is alive and well? Yes, we believe that the left is alive and well. And do we already start to see things? I mean, that's what we're talking about today. It is bizarre. I got a document, and I'll give a shout out to the Faith-Based Security Network, Carl Chin's group, that one of the guys sent over this document that I forwarded to you.
Yeah.
That is called the Secular Democrats of America. And the document was called Restoring Constitutional Secularism and Patriotic Pluralism in the White House. And, of course, when I see documents like this, one of the first things that I want to do is I want to find out who wrote it. I want to know who wrote it, okay? And to explain some things to you, what you have to understand is what secularism is. Let's make sure that we're clear on this. So that's denoting attitudes, activities, or other things that have no religious or spiritual basis.
Right.
None. So that's your non-believers, your atheists.
That's the rest of the world.
That's the rest of the world, right, from us believers. Pluralism is in logic. Pluralism is the view that there is no one correct logic or one correct religion.
Right.
So I don't know if you remember hearing people like Joel Osteen, and I hate throwing him underneath the bus, saying, who am I to say that there's only one way to get to heaven? We as Christians believe that there's only one way to get to heaven. I mean, we truly believe the Scripture.
It's baked into the faith itself.
When Christ says, I am the way, the truth, and the life, you kind of have to take that verbatim. You can't play with that. You can't say, well, he said, Boot over here is a good friend of mine, and we drank wine together. It doesn't work that way.
Well, there's always that there is always that duplicity. So they say the left says things like patriotic pluralism.
Right.
That sounds awesome until you unpack what it is.
Until you take a look at it.
Reasonable gun laws. I think we have reasonable gun laws, but they mean no guns.
Yeah.
And so when you hear things like that, they word it so it sounds attractive. It sounds attractive on the surface, just even to me. So then we, especially Christians, need to be willing to get involved and unpack what those things. And that's kind of what we're going to do today.
So I go to the Secular Democrats of America webpage,
Right.
and you got to go through it because, like you said, they have beautiful words that they're speaking. It's all good stuff. I mean, you're kind of like reading this, but as you get through it, it says the secular caucuses, while advancing a positive vision of pluralism and secular democracy. See, they throw that word in, democracy. Yeah. We like that word. Oh, everybody loves that word. Okay? Are on the front lines fighting Christian rights agenda. So right now we're saying exactly who we are. We won't stand by as they siphon tax dollar dollars into private religious institutions, establish Christianity as the de facto American religion, and undermine hard-won civil and human rights in the name of religious liberty.
So there's an awful lot there. So
let's unpack it.
So to me, the way I look at the First Amendment, it was originally written to protect religions from the state, not to protect the state from religions.
Exactly.
Now, that's fine. I don't believe, by the way, I think Christians need to be very careful that they don't pray for theocracy, because theocracies never work.
Right.
So we cannot have, or we fought to end. We fought a theocracy with the Anglican Church in England in 1776. So we need to be sure that we don't want. People need to be clear that they don't want a single religion assigned to the American people. No. And the other thing is, Christianity is not exactly a single religion. In other words, there are so many. Whoever looks at it this way doesn't have a very deep understanding of Christianity as we look at it today. There are 9,000 Christian denominations in the world. If you don't count non-denominational churches, if you do, it's something like 43,000. So Christians are not a homogeneous group by any means on doctrine or anything else. Right. So what they're really saying is they're okay with what would be like a hyper PC Christianity, right?
Well, that's what they're talking about, because you go on the webpage and it says eliminating the stigma of being non-religious. Christian nationalists have been perpetrating the myth of a Christian nation.
Okay, Christian nationalists already has a very negative connotation.
Already,
it sounds like they are white supremacists. Basically, that's the impression they're trying to give.
And they go on and say, and waging cultural wars for decades in their quest for political and cultural dominance. In other words, we as Christians are bad because we want everybody to bow to our God.
Well, and we're not the ones waging the war.
No.
So if anything, Christians have been on their heels for the last 60 years and have created an environment. And it's easy for me to say because I've only been a Christian for 10 years, but they created an environment where the secular world has redefined and defined all the terms, and they just out of hand accept them. Right. So and then to please the world, they soften their positions. Churches soften, not just Christians, but churches soften their positions on social issues that are unscriptural.
Well, they fall into that category of where they say, let's not get involved because, it's not going to hurt us. We can continue. Well, no, you take out prayer in schools, you continue with your abortion drives and stuff like that. It does hurt us eventually.
Yeah.
It comes against us. When they want to take away the 10 Commandments out of a courthouse because it offends people, who does it offend?
And our juris system is based on the 10 Commandments, whether you like it or not. That's where it comes from.
Yeah, that's where our laws started. I mean, right there. But this goes on to say is that it says that waging cultural wars for decades in their quest for political and cultural dominance, often stoking fear and anger toward the non-religious. I mean, if you're reading this,
we sound terrible.
Yeah. And stereotypes and misconceptions about the non-religious, particularly about atheists, are commonplace even within progressive circles.
Yeah.
So even if you're not like a hardcore religious person, your progressive circles also say atheist. Oh,
I think atheist. Even the word atheist is misleading. You don't remove God. You don't remove God from your life or from your worldview, but you replace it with something else.
Yeah, you just don't believe.
There's no reason to think that secularism isn't a religion of its own.
Sure.
I mean, they advertise, right?
Mm-hmm.
They organize, they congregate, They raise money. They're 501(c)(3)s. They're everything that any other religion is. Mm-hmm. So why would we think then that they're not a religion? So they put up billboards at Christmas, So they are encouraging people to join their secularism, their humanism, and our government and our media and our colleges and institutions for 60 years, while Christians were looking the other way or not wanting to offend anybody.
Let's be realistic.
Yeah, they took over the whole ship. So we Christians we cannot wage a war. We're not in position to wage a war, except for a defensive war, because they hold all the cards.
Right.
They hold all the power.
Well, and this is why we have to understand that this vote in Georgia is so important, because if not, this organization right here that has put up this document that says, we urge you not to underestimate the institutional strength of what we refer to interchangeable in this document as the Christian nationalist movement or the religious right. Yeah. So let's throw both of them in there. Look, I can foresee it soon. We're going to be wearing the stars on our shoulders saying that or the crosses on our shoulders saying that we're Christians, because they want to know who you are. This movement is extraordinarily well-funded and well-organized, and the manifestation of its extreme sectarian agenda is on the constant display under the Trump-Pence administration. So those that don't like Trump, let's throw that in there,
Well, and this is, by the way, I've read this whole thing a couple of times, and it is with nothing else but an attack certainly on Trump. So the idea is to motivate Biden and Harris, if they even become president and vice president, to motivate Biden and Harris to, with the carrot that we're going to get even with Trump.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
But the goal is Christianity.
Wait. We're going to get even with Trump and those who voted for Trump.
Yeah.
Let's make sure that we're perfectly clear here. This document, is a shot across about Trump, but it's also those that supported Trump, because down here later, where we start to read what they want to rescind or what they want to pull back, really doesn't have anything to do with Trump.
No.
It has to do with those that support this type of Christianity.
It's a page right out of Stalin's playbook.
Sure it is.
It's people should be concerned about this as
we
Americans.
need to make an enemy. This is not only Stalin, this is Hitler. We need to have a common enemy.
Yeah.
Somebody that we can hate. Let's hate the Christians.
Yeah.
Let's hate the Christians. Let's hate the church. This is why we have to be paying attention to this.
And they are in this article, and we'll put a link to this article in the description below. But in this article, they are quite compassionate and defensive of other religions, Islam particularly,
Buddhism.
But they are.
Yeah.
So clearly, what they're unhappy with is the Jews and the Christians. Basically.
Sure.
And I believe the authors of this, both of them I think they're Jewish.
I didn't go and look
at secular Jews, but
the authors. I went and looked at the webpage, so I can't say I was going to look that up. But anyway, when you read this, like I said, it to a non-believer, to a person who is on the fence of Trump, whether they like him or hate him, because we have so many people that hate him but like what he did. But now we're fueling the fire by saying that he supported the Christian rights.
Yeah.
The alt-right. They love that word, alt-right,
Yeah. Christian nationalists, which is a very concerning term to use.
Yeah. Let's get into that one. Wow,
So let's define, I'm a Christian, right? I'm a pastor.
Sure.
But I would consider myself a nationalist. In other words, I believe that our president, our government should put our American interests before everyone else's. Doesn't mean we don't help other countries, but we help our Americans first. So we look at this first COVID bill where they're giving everybody $600, but they're giving away billions of dollars to other countries that we can't. How in the world can we possibly afford that?
Well, and the thing of it is what does it do to help us?
Yeah.
The Indian study on secular somethingerism,
Yeah.
What does that do to help the United States?
Well, they were going to send money to Pakistan, like $700 million to Pakistan for gender studies.
Yeah.
Well, I got bad news for you. The Pakistani people aren't completely compassionate to gender confusion.
That's right. They're not. So I'm confused. I'm totally confused when you look at the breakdown of where they're sending this money. How does it help us, the United States? It doesn't.
Yeah.
But here we go. We're getting back into the politics. We're getting back into the old style politics. We can see it right now. You scratch my back, I'll scratch yours.
And we saw it in the first bill, and the truth is we see it in McConnell's bill too. And in some way, it's probably good that the Republicans are going to start playing hardball. But his rewrite with the $2,000 relief package also has getting rid of Chapter 230 for the protection of the of like Twitter and Facebook. So he did say so the Democrats put all their fat in there. But it isn't like the Republicans didn't do it, too, with what amounts to Trump's fat, the things that Trump's most concerned about.
Let us make sure that we're perfectly clear. We will be silenced in the Biden administration.
Oh,
they will do things to silence us. This little thing that they've thrown out here, this little document that they've thrown out here, is going against the religious nationalists. Guess what? We fall underneath that category of being the nationalist speakers, and of course we put True Christian Talk in there, so we're double targeted.
Yeah.
Because if you remember, let's go back to the Obama, when they went against 501c3s that said things like Patriots, Tea Party, all those things like that. So if we were to go and I mean right now we're just two guys talking.
Yeah.
But say we wanted to go and say, hey, we want to do a 501c3 and call it True Christian Talk. We might not ever see that happen.
No.
Because that's what the Obama administration did, and nobody was prosecuted in it.
And Biden, no, and that's the crazy thing. Nobody even really cared.
Yeah.
So what bothers me on some level is like the censorship in Twitter and Facebook right now.
Right.
It's everywhere, right?
Right.
A lot of my friends are perfectly fine with it.
Sure.
So they are so bought into this, to the anti-Trump narrative, that they will set aside the Constitution for everyone to just to protect, in their view, the rights of certain groups of people. So the fact that I put up the Hunter Biden laptop thing and how Twitter and Facebook took it down or blocked it, and some of my left-wing friends were they were perfectly fine with it. I mean, they literally regurgitated the narrative. So Twitter and Facebook didn't do these things for the Covington Catholic kids or anybody else from the right, by the way.
Right.
But they all of a sudden they got this burst of nobility, moral nobility,
Right.
to protect Biden a week before an election or a month before an election. So the that should concern everybody. And I consider myself kind of a center guy. So there's hills I won't die on politically that I'm in, and there's ones that I will certainly when it begins to permeate or affect the church. But to read this is
well, let's talk about it. They broke down into 4 categories. This document that came out. Let's make sure that we understand what the document is. It's gosh, I just lost the document. Where is it? Okay. The document is taking this stuff that they want the Biden and Harris administration to look at and get rid of.
right.
So they talked about 4 separate categories. One is government funding.
So let's do this. Keep talking. I'll do this.
And one of the things they talked about is the Espinoza case. I'm probably saying it wrong.
Trinity Lutheran versus Espinosa.
Yeah, I would love to have anybody involved in that case to contact us so we could talk about it. But what it talks about is that the government had come out and said, hey, we're going to give tax credit scholarships to people in low-income areas that want to get their kids in school. When they were doing it, they said, but you can't send them to religious schools. And so Espinoza filed a suit against it, saying that they wanted to go to a religious school. And the Supreme Court of the United States voted 5-4 that said it was unconstitutional. You can't block religious schools. Now, this organization here wants to change that.
Yeah.
They want to change it that if you want to send your kid to a Christian school, you can't have tax credit scholarships. That's what they're trying to overturn.
Well, and so here's my thing. I think that in terms of separation of church and state in dollars, we shouldn't be funding. We shouldn't be, when we do, not just for Christians, by the way, but we shouldn't be funding religious organizations that are also tax exempt. But they didn't give the money to the religious organizations. They're allowing the people to choose.
Yes.
And in that case, that person should be allowed to choose whatever service they want to use with those federal dollars.
And I understand what you're saying, but okay, hold on a second. we gave all this PPP money out here to religious organizations.
Yeah.
Religious organizations got, got money from the government to help them survive. Even our own organizations. I'm sorry.
You're a very important guy. And you get the phone call.
I know, and they called back twice. So continue on. Block me off for a second. Let me find out what's going on here.
All right, I'm going to mute you. All right, so I've got me on the camera now, and this is, should government money go to religious organizations? I think if government money goes to anyone, it should go to everyone. So Christians or religious groups shouldn't be limited any more than every other group is limited. Does that make sense? So when we did the COVID lockdown, I locked down my church. In fact, I did it a week earlier than everyone else, and got some grief for that. But so long as the government mandates, the way I looked at it, so long as the government mandates were equally applied to churches and to secular organizations, then I'm fine with it. I didn't have a problem with it until they had a different set of rules for churches than they did for, say, protests and stuff like that. So once that became an issue, then I do have a problem with that. So I think churches should be treated equally, not specially. So so if we're gonna do this separation of church and state thing, which I'm fine with, it has to be applied to secular and non-secular organizations equally. That's the way I look at it.
I agree. I mean, I don't have any problems of anything that we've said so far, anything that you've said so far. I just think that when the Supreme Court has made a ruling on something, that, as you said, the money's not given to the organization. It's not given to the school.
It's for the person
to
to
the
choose.
parents, and let the parents choose. But what they're talking about, if they reverse this, here's what they're talking about. They know better what is better for your children than you do.
Yeah, that's that nanny state.
That is that's we're going to send them back to what? We're going to send them back to the secular schools that are teaching them.
They have 60 years invested in this. They're not going to give up an inch if they don't have to.
At one time, college professors used to say, let us get them in college and then we'll change their minds. Now they're coming out of the high schools with their minds already set.
Even younger. They're doing gender classes for kids that are 8 years old.
Now, another part of this government funding is they want to take away the religious exemptions, like what happened with Hobby Lobby. That if you're a religious organization and the federal government steps in and says you will give your employees contraceptives, that's against.
Yeah, so that should be protected. So they should provide, by the way, a package for their employees that doesn't include that for the employees to choose.
Right.
I think the closer we get the power of government to the people, the better off we're going to be. Certainly, a strong federal government was never the plan for this country, and we're now seeing we see it in the whole 20th century, the effects of a strong central government, and we're beginning to see it in America. So, I'm kind of a federalist guy, right? So I think that it's wherever possible, the state should be making the decision.
Yes.
And if you don't like it, move to another state. So you
like
have to
they're leaving.
Yeah. And then we would have essentially 50 separate little experiments. So if California, for instance, goes full socialist and people leave California, that's fine. If they go full socialist and they're taxed because they want to leave California, that's not fine. But let's see how a conservative capitalistic state does compared to a liberal socialist state.
Sure.
And eventually society will find an equilibrium. We'll find out what works, what doesn't work, what's the best for the people, what we can afford, which is not even on the table in America anymore. So it is ultimately... And I'll bring this up, and we'll discuss this as we go. But why weaken the defenses of a religious group, right, of Christians? Why weaken their defenses if you're not planning to go then on the attack of those religious groups, which they've been on the attack, in my estimation, for a long time? So Trump puts up these protections for religion, for Christians particularly, and then these folks are trying to encourage the next administration to take those protections down. And that can't be for no reason. In other words, they have another reason for that. So if you're not going to attack a fortification, why worry about their defenses?
Right. Well, yeah, it continues on.
So long as it doesn't infringe on other people's rights.
They want to reverse all executive order rules, memorandums, and other actions that exempt faith-based organizations contracting with the federal government. Really? Yeah. You know, I can do it with this organization over here that is secular, but I cannot do it with a faith-based organization.
Again,
you know,
I'm not a theocracy guy, but I think that if you treat religious organizations the same as you treat non-religious organizations, secular organizations, then you're fine. Now the argument will be, but they're 501(c)(3)s, they're tax exempt. Well, so is Secular Democrats of America, right? It's a political action group, by the way.
Let's understand. Well, yeah, okay. Dismantle the Department of Justice Religious Liberty Task Force. Dismantle. And now, what does that mean? What does that? Does anybody have any idea what that might mean?
Say it again, so we're clear.
Dismantle the Department of Justice Religious Liberty Task Force. That means that if your church is attacked, it is considered hate speech by certain means.
Yeah.
If there's graffiti, if there's the different things like this.
And it should be.
It should be. Okay. But they're saying that get rid of that because there's no hate speech against the church. You can't have that.
Right.
So you won't have them investigating.
So and it goes back to the whole hierarchy of oppression. So white Christians are, in their eyes, not oppressed at all, and therefore deserve no protection under the Constitution. Where the more what is it called? Critical theory.
Yeah.
So we fall at the bottom. We score lowest on the critical theory.
That's
scale.
Intersectionality. Yeah. That's where we score lower. Yeah.
So that they then. There's no need to even protect those rights. Again, if you're going to take away those rights, what's your motivation if not to attack those people once the rights are gone?
Rescind and replace the Department of Justice Memorandum Federal Law Protections for Religious Liberty. Wow.
Yeah.
You know, this group right here is scary. That's just all there is to it. And when you read this, they have congressmen and women that have signed on to this page. Agree with this stuff.
So Wendy has a question online. I'm looking at comments, but how do you see the attacks against Christianity impact our community churches? Do you foresee an increase in violence against the churches?
Sure.
I have opinion on both of those questions.
Sure, go ahead.
First of all, I think that they won't go after the churches as much as they'll go after the 501(c) status of the churches.
Exactly.
So, and they already said in the Democratic debate that they would, if you didn't do, say, same-sex marriage, you would lose your tax exemption.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that's fine for some churches. That might be fine for Joel Osteen. That's not going to be okay for my little church.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we barely get by every year in a rough area, right? So people don't go out of their way to come to this neighborhood to go to church. So people that from this neighborhood go to church here. So
and it's the reverse. People in your neighborhood come to this church because it's close. You shut them down and you shut your church down, then they don't have a place to go to. I mean, they really don't.
And they will, they will attack the individual churches on that basis. And then the other thing is and this is going to be your specialty, do you see more violence against churches? I don't see how you could not see more violence
We've already seen more violence against churches. We've already seen, as soon as Sean King said that the white images of Christ should be torn down, including his disciples and the Virgin Mary, we started seeing attacks on the statues of Mary and of Jesus Christ. In California, there was a slew of them. In Texas, there were some. It's already started. Once a week, we see a historic church. We just had one, a historic church being burned down. And it's when the newspaper says a suspicious fire, trust me, that starts us to think who said it. We saw one in Ocala where the guy drove the van into the church and threw gasoline out. Yeah. We saw the one in Hillsborough County where the guy went in.
But statistically, is it getting higher?
You have to understand something. There's no statistics on it. A vandalism is listed as a vandalism. You would have to go deeper into it unless we were doing our own research, which is what we do with our Google alerts.
Yeah.
And we are seeing vandalisms more and more. We're seeing attacks on the statues more and more.
Well, there's a guy that you and I used to discuss quite often off the air that tracked church attack statistics for a long time. Chan?
He still captures shootings, stabbings,
Oh, okay.
those type of
Yeah,
attacks.
yeah, but not
But
every
but
attack.
not yeah. We're kind of like the only one. I mean, people are posting things all the time, sending stuff to us, or like I said, our Facebook alerts that we do, Google alerts that we do. We're seeing these things every single day. There's something out there almost every single day. So do we think that there's going to be more attacks on churches? Yes, we do. I think there's more than just this right here that we're seeing the attacks.
Mm-hmm.
I think Satan has unleashed everything that he can to disrupt churches.
I think if I'm going to go just anecdotally from my experience, that I think the COVID pandemic.
I'm getting ready to talk about that.
I think it affected my church internally very powerfully. Now we have a church of multiple ages, multiple races, some different socioeconomic classes. In other words, 5 or 6 families keep us going, really, right? But I think that I look at that. I had this conversation this morning. In fact, I have to finish this conversation when we're off the air. But I look at it almost as confirmation. So if we weren't doing something right here at my church spiritually, we would be left alone. So and that's the conversation I'm going to have when we're off the air. So I think the spirit is so strong here that the enemy focused on us and gave us a real hard time here.
The enemy is focused on any church. Look at John MacArthur, okay? The enemy focused on his church. Any church that is doing something, any church that is expanding the kingdom of God, they have turned their attention to it and want to stop it. Here's one of these other – I want to go back to this document. I want to stay focused on this document.
All right, let's go back.
Okay, because one of the requirements, it says, appoint an attorney general to the Department of Justice who will support governors whose emergency declaration and or executive orders require even-handed universal restrictions on indoor gatherings, including at houses of worship, to prevent the spread of COVID-19. Churches are not shown to be a hotbed for the COVID-19. There's no scientific studies that are showing that outbreaks are happening from people going to church services.
And if there were even any little bit of a hint that was true, believe me, our government would pounce on it. Our media would pounce on it. So the tens of thousands of people protest and even riot and loot and everything else, but even if they're just peacefully protesting and assembling shoulder to shoulder, 10,000 people, and that's not a super spreader, but going to church could be a super spreader, or going to spending Thanksgiving with your family is a super spreader, right?
Well, the science has not shown. Restaurants has not shown that they're hotbeds. It's not showing it. Show me where it is. Where it is happening is where we're keeping people inside the house. That's where we're seeing it, because one person comes in and affects everybody in the house, and so what happens then? They affect other people that they may be working with or being around. We're seeing these flare-ups from keeping the science has not shown it yet. The science has not shown it. I'm sorry. Show it to me where it says that churches are a super spreader. Show me the science behind that. If you show me that, I will be more than happy to come on this show right now and say, listen, this organization sent me true scientific facts that churches have become super spreaders. Show it to me. Show it to me.
Yeah, and if it was out there, they certainly would. So
and let me just jump on this for 1 sec. We saw it already before, because in, I want to say France and Spain, I think. I can't remember the two countries, but one has this celebration every year where like thousands upon thousands of people come to this one country. And so people were coming from other countries. They found out that there were like 3 or 4 people inside that had the COVID virus. And when it left like they could trace 200 people that got it and sent it out. So guess what happens? The church is attacked. Yeah. But this was over in Europe. They haven't seen it over here. But they want to tell you that we are. Show me the facts. Show me the facts on it.
Well, and why are there when the media announces that Biden won the election and thousands of people are dancing in the street in New York and Los Angeles? How is that not a super spreader event?
Yeah.
So they are very selective in their outrage, and that's the reality of it. And part of what bothers me, I think we can, by the way, hash through these things and come to reasonable terms with everyone, but not in the environment where the only answer is to silence or to silence the voice of the opposition. And that's what we have in America right now. You know, my prognosis is not good. I don't think this ends well.
Okay. Okay, some more on this document. Instruct the Internal Revenue Service.
What page are you on?
I took out notes.
Oh.
I took out notes because there was too much. There was 28 pages. I'm not.
Yeah, it's long.
Yeah. Instruct the Internal Revenue Service to enforce the Johnson Amendment as the law and one component of the broader set of campaign finance measures that need to strengthen the institution that Trump had weakened. What this is saying here is that if you're a 501c3, you cannot say anything about any of the people running for president, Congress, or anything like that. You have to keep your mouth shut. You cannot say we would vote for this person or we would vote for that person.
Yeah.
They're trying to make it to where they want to strengthen it, the enforcement, so that if you were to say, listen, if you're pro-life, if you're pro-police, if you're pro-Israel, that would be considered falling underneath the Johnson Amendment law to where you're recommending one person, because logic would tell you that that would be Trump.
Yeah.
And so they want to get rid of that. They also want to go and they want to do the legal counsel to the Attorney General to issue a memorandum regarding enforcement of the Establishment Clause in public schools, including students' protection from school-sponsored teaching of evidence-based secular curriculum rather than creationism.
Yeah.
So in other words, we're not going to talk about creationism anymore. We're not going to talk about a God anymore. They want to get rid of that completely.
And I'm fine with that because I'm not fine with the fact that they won't talk about it, but I'm fine with the fact that they would go with the scientific or the secular thought in school, except that you can't even mention
but
intelligent design.
Wait.
That's crazy.
We're talking pluralism.
Yeah, we're supposed to be plural.
Yeah, where's the pluralism in that?
They get to decide who's part of that club.
Yeah, if you get to come to me and tell me that it's only the secular curriculum rather than creationism,
and pluralism,
then pluralism, you just beat yourself up.
They're the most tolerant people I've ever met in my life.
Here's the last one.
Although I haven't met them.
We need to be understanding this. The rise of white Christian nationalism is a national security threat. We recommend you encourage the Department of Homeland Security and Department of Justice to dedicate resources and de-rationalization programs aimed at hate groups, including but not limited to white nationalists, including monitoring of such groups, including the online environment. This is what we're talking about right here. And take action to address increased hate crimes. How do they define hate crimes? When they say these words out here and people go, oh, nationalists, we don't want a nationalist. Well, Christians are nationalists. Okay, so hate crimes toward minority faith communities and shift rhetoric to label violent white nationalist extremists as terrorists.
Well, if you're a violent white nationalist, then you are a terrorist. Just like if you're an extremist Muslim, then you're a terrorist.
But they're not calling Antifa. They're not calling Black Lives Matter. That's the problem.
So we do not have that much of a white nationalist problem that I'm aware of. And here's the crazy thing: if they want to say white supremacist things, they have the right to say it.
Yeah.
Right. And I may not want to listen to it.
We don't want to. Yeah.
I don't try to shut people.
Turn the channel.
Yeah. A lot of people disagree with me, and I disagree with a lot of people, but I don't worry about I don't think that they shouldn't be allowed to say these things. Very different on this mindset. This worldview is if we don't like what you say, you're not allowed to say it.
That's right.
And that is fine in other countries, by the way.
Yeah.
That's none of my business. But it's not okay here.
Yeah.
That's what gets
And
me.
what they're trying to do is they're trying to come in and say anything that is religious that goes against anything that the secular group believes in should be shut down.
Yeah.
That's just all there is to it.
Well, only a couple of years ago they had a bill in California State Senate or their state Senate, and they were going to outlaw the sale of any book that spoke negatively about homosexuality or gender confusion or anything like that.
Look at Canada.
That would have included, by the way, the Bible. Almost in America, it was almost illegal to buy a Bible in a state in the United States. Truth is, if that state decided to outlaw the Bible, I say they have the right to do it.
Let that state do it.
Let that state do it, not the federal government.
Yeah.
I mean,
because you have
screw the federal government, by the way. I
Yeah.
think they should be out of everything but the Environmental Protection Agency. I can't think of another federal agency that we can't turn over to the states.
No, I can't either.
The EPA, we all share the same environment, so we're going to have to be realistic there. But education?
Yeah.
Why the federal government involved in education?
Well, They go on reframing patriotism, and they say disentangle the conflation of faith and patriotism. Get rid of it. In public statements, avoid phrases like God and country. Yeah. You know, God bless you. God bless America. Get rid of those statements.
I mean, the answer is you cannot compel somebody to say something, and you cannot compel them not to say something. And unless it's a call for violence and not a subconscious call for violence, so you're so racist you don't even realize you're racist, that's not an argument. Right. So you're so hateful you don't even realize you're hateful is not an argument. But if they call to kill people or to do violence, like, say, bust up white Jesus statues in churches, that's hate speech. Yeah. Because that's a call to violence.
And why is that person not considered a terrorist?
Why is he not? Because he's on the left and they control everything. Yeah.
While listing faith in public remarks or talking about religious pluralism, always include non-religious people, okay? Phrases like all faiths and none. Religious and non-religious. Okay, these are the phrases that, like, you say, hey, you're welcome to religious, non-religious. Guess what? We already do that.
Yeah, that's fine with me. I mean, it sounds like an Obama speech, by the way.
Yeah, it does.
But who cares? If you say my Christian brothers and sisters and people of other faith or people of no faith at all, I have no problem with that because it's all equal.
Yeah.
But the problem I have is, and it goes back to the theory of maybe having to fight a defensive war, is they're not going to stop at equal. They want to crush.
Exactly.
They want to crush the voice of these people, and whether I agree with them or not, they have the right to say it. Whether you like it or not, they have the right to say it.
I like this last one. They said avoid naming programs, initiatives, or government titles as faith, like faith-based. However, the most inclusive term to use is conscience, a conscience coalition.
Yeah. See, I don't smoke weed. I don't even know what that means.
I don't either. I don't
take the
That's
weed.
Why I said I love it. Conscientious coalition. Anyway, take out In God We Trust. They want to get rid of that off the money. But of course, we're going to a moneyless society, so that's really a moot point. I mean, I just
but they don't want you to even type it or say it out loud. Yeah. It's not so bad that it's on the money.
I find it really funny going back to the religious or non-religious, because when we talk about church, we are an open door to everybody. We don't stand at the door and say, "Do you believe?"
Yeah.
Do you believe? No, I don't. Well, then you can't.
You got to sit over there.
Yeah.
You can come in, but you got to sit in the back.
Yeah. You're not welcome here. We don't do that. We want those that don't believe to come into the church. Yeah. Why? We want them to hear about Christ's love, about what Christ does for us, what God does for us, and all these different things like this. So we want them to come in. We want them to come into the churches. So they think that little statement right there hurts us. Really? That just shows how ignorant to me they are.
And even people that consider themselves Christians have said something. And a guy, I told this story before, but a guy asked me for a ride home from a place, and we both had at the time 11-year-old sons. And so he said, well, and knowing I'm a pastor, he says, well, I'm going to let my son decide for himself whether he's a Christian or not, which is logical, except that are you exposing him to as much gospel message as he's being exposed to secular message? Right. Because if you want him to decide for himself, are you giving him the tools to make an educated decision? So you don't let your son, by the way, jump on the bed with scissors.
Right.
You don't let him decide what time he's going to go to bed on a school night, what he's going to eat, whether he drinks and does drugs at age 11. But you're going to let him decide on his own salvation without the tools to make that decision, an educated decision. Most important decision a person makes is on their faith, whether they are non-religious or not. It's the most important decision. As a Christian, I would say it's the most important decision you could make. Mm-hmm. You're talking about your eternity, and you're betting not just your eternity on it, but you're betting the eternity of your kids on this thing. You're betting the eternity of the students that you're trying to influence. It is, I'm ready to go open a church and start a sermon, but that's some dangerous ground you're on.
Well, I think one of the things that I always look at is when we talk about eternal life, don't you want your whole family there?
Yeah.
So okay, here's the other thing too. I was talking to somebody the other day, and they were going, well, what if you're wrong? What if there is no God that exists? What if there is no heaven? What harm has it done to me?
Yeah.
My life is
a better
good.
life anyway.
Yeah, my life is good. But what if I'm right?
Yeah.
I don't want that eternal damnation hung over anybody. I don't want it on you. I don't want it on
You
my
you
children.
don't even really want it. I mean, if you're if you're in love with your salvation, and you're going to have to want it for your family, your coworkers, even your enemies, which is the reason that we evangelize in the first place. Is the reason for the Great Commission. Now, people receive it or not receive it, and the reality is, narrow is the gate and few will enter. Broad is the road to destruction, and many will follow it. So we have to be realistic in that most people are going to reject this out of self-centeredness, out of earthliness, out of worldliness, but that doesn't stop us from living and preaching the gospel everywhere we go.
Well, I think one of the things that we need to make sure that we explain why we're out here doing this.
This show, you mean?
This show right here.
Yeah.
Is that when and I talk to Wendy, I talk to you. Every time I get somebody says, "Have you seen this?" You need to do research on it, because the first thing that you read is going to be one of these.
The headline very rarely matches the article anymore.
Yeah, you start looking at it and you go, "Whoa, wait a minute here. What the heck happened?" George Floyd, I continue to say that. The police officer there, I need to apologize to, because of I paid attention to what the news wanted me to see and not the whole story.
I've done that a half a dozen times.
Yeah, but when we tell you that there are articles out there, and like you said, we're going to put it out here so people can see it. When we tell you that there's articles out here, and we went and done the research for you, we went behind the scenes and looked at it, because when you look at their webpage, and see, here's my question. Are they a 501c3?
Yeah.
I want to know that question.
I'm betting they are.
Because if they are.
Well, Political Action Committee probably has to be, right?
Yeah. If they are.
Or some variant of it.
If they are, they're in violation of everything that they have said here.
Yeah.
Because they point out that Trump caused this issue. They're very clear on this Christian nationalism is something that Trump started. So they've already violated what they want to do. We can't have a conversation with people like this. You can't, because they have already painted us as the enemy. They have painted us as the nationalists that are going to that cause hate and put people down, and white supremacy and all this stuff like that, which religion, true religion, and let's make sure that we're perfectly clear. There is bad religion out here like there's good religion. But religion out here, if you truly follow what Christ teaches, what is in the Bible, the teachings and all the things like that, we are all equal, period, across the board. He never said anything different than that. Even when he came back from the resurrection, he called them his brothers. He put them on the equal step as him. He did not say, "You're now to bow down to me." They did it because of their reverence.
Yeah.
But he looked at them as brothers.
Yeah.
He said, "Lord, please give them what you've given me." He wasn't saying, "Hey, listen, you gave me all the power. Don't let these guys over here have it." No, he was like, "Give it to them."
Yeah. John 18, he's essentially ordaining the disciples to become apostles. It's amazing when you read it carefully.
He said, "You're going to be doing greater things than me." Yeah. What type of leader says that? You know? So.
Well, to answer your question, by the way, and this is according to Wikipedia, political action committees are organized under the 527 tax exemption. So there is a tax exemption that makes it so you can be politically active and be a nonprofit and tax exempt at the same time. So they are. So like you said, they are breaking they're doing the thing they're trying to fight, and of course it's justified because they are fighting for an ideology,
right, that
at the end of the day they think that they're spiritually and intellectually more evolved than cavemen like you and I, and so they doing this for our own good essentially.
I just always have to laugh about this when they come and hit us like we're evil. Yeah. If it's just like we talk about this all the time. It's just as any when we talk about church safety. Okay, one of the things that we talk about when you talk to somebody is never to be judgmental. Never ever.
Yeah. They
may be standing there telling you something that you've never done, and you may look at them and say, "Oh my gosh, you did this? Really? You're such a criminal." We have to look at everybody as equal. And these people right here are trying their best to show us that we're ignorant. that we don't understand.
But it's not. It's powers and principalities.
powers
So
of-
it
yeah,
is the influence. Anything that is not of Christ is antichrist by definition.
It is.
So the antichrist isn't just a person or a figure. He will be eventually a single person that will represent that that ideology singly. But it is. I mean, John talks about it that it's among us already.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So it is. It is an ideology that is so hypocritical in their call for tolerance for people, and people, by the way, that I know and love and respect buy into this.
Right.
You know.
Right.
And makes me think to myself, maybe I'm crazy, and maybe I am, but I'm willing to talk about it.
Sure.
I'm not willing to call them names because unless it's funny, to shut them down or to say that they shouldn't say that or are not allowed to say that. I'm willing to have the conversation. They're not. That's a very big difference in America.
We have said it over and over and over in this show that if you disagree with this and want to have a conversation, please contact us.
Yeah.
We would love to have a conversation. But if you can't call us and have a conversation, if it ends up being screaming and yelling and, you know, or somebody pointing at me and saying, you don't understand because you're not this, I don't want to hear it.
Let me ask you a question. Do you personally know? I've seen YouTube videos of hateful pastors, right? That rager guy that came against my church locally,
Right.
you know, powerless, but whatever. Or Steven Anderson, who has a pretty big influence in Arizona, but says the most hateful things. I can't believe he associates himself with my Lord and Savior. He says the most terrible things I could imagine in the name of Christ. But do you personally know anybody? I know a lot of Christians in the last 10 years, and you've been Christian longer than me. Unless they're careful around me, I don't know any hateful Christians that I could think of.
I do.
You do?
I do. And I saw it when our new pastor took over the church. I saw it. I saw people come against him.
You work and go to a very big church compared to mine.
It's considered a mega church.
Yeah.
In terminology, anything over 1,000 members is considered a small. And then you get up into the different
we were like a
sizes.
small mega church a few years ago.
And so when our pastor took over, Johnny Scott took over the church, there was so much hate. And really, I fell into it also. And I'll tell you,
I got wind of it, by the way, here, 5 miles away or 10 miles away.
I'm for sure.
People think that you know there's a pastor network and we talk about each other. I just met your pastor a few weeks ago, and but I got wind from other churches who said, "Did you hear what's going on at Generations?" Blah 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 blah. But so go ahead. So you that environment, you
I fell into a trap because I had a certain pastor that I thought was going to take over from the previous pastor, and let me say this. I love the previous pastor, love him to death. He's the one that got me back to Christ.
Yeah.
I mean, I talk about him in my book. You know, he showed me that Christianity, I can be a Christian male without giving up my man card, you know. So, but when he left, there were so many people that, let me start back on my personal point of view on this. I thought we were going to have another pastor take over that I totally loved. Loved the way he spoke. He was incredible. Incredible as a speaker. Incredible as a pastor. And did a lot for the safety team, which was something new to us. And so when he did not become the pastor and Johnny Scott came in, I judged them side by side. Yeah. And I didn't like Johnny because he wasn't, to me, the same as this pastor here. But as I listened to Johnny and his services, they started to convict me. And so standing there still, not knowing whether I was going to be, you know, not knowing whether I'm going to be praying, God, show me another church to go to or do something here because I can't stand here. One of the guys that is one of my mentors has been especially supportive of our group. He touched me on the shoulder one night while I was just standing there looking at Johnny, and he goes, "That guy's the real deal."
Yeah. And
I turned around and looked at him, and I said, "Who?" And he said, "Johnny." He goes, "I've known that kid since he's 18 years old." And he says he has been a Christ follower since the whole time, never changed. And it was a conviction, just like that. It was like God said, "Listen." Paul was a teacher. Paul went out. James went out. They disagreed with each other.
Yeah.
But they spread their Christianity.
Yeah.
Barnabas and Paul had an argument, went separate ways. What did that do? It spread. So immediately when I heard that, I had that conviction came over me and said, you got to get in line with this guy. He's talking the scripture. He's preaching the word.
And you can't. My experience as a pastor is I'm too Christian for some people and not Christian enough for the rest of them.
Sure.
So and you can't be. Scripture tells us all things to all men. So people are as pastors. It is you're like you're really a man without an island, right?
Right.
So I've had people come up and say you can't say this or you shouldn't say that or you got to say this. I'm not going to be held hostage so long as I'm called to shepherd a flock, held hostage on the pulpit. So there's things I'm going to say and things I'm not going to say that people don't like. I don't know a pastor where people haven't been offended by something they've said, right? Especially me, maybe.
Oh, yeah.
But I can tell you, I've never been to any function, including church service, where I couldn't leave with offended or with a resentment if I wanted to. So people are. I just had this conversation with somebody who was in leadership here that said BS during a 12-step meeting, right? Not even a church service. A couple of people were absolutely new Christians, new in recovery, by the way, absolutely outraged by that, and I get it, and I agree with them. But the idea of kind of Christian perfection,
right,
I think, is a mistake.
It is a mistake.
I think it puts you, the Christian, out ahead of the Holy Spirit.
Right.
And it's just dangerous. So the way I preach and the way I evangelize when I'm not preaching, the way I deliver the message and hopefully live the message that I deliver is attractive, but not to everyone. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Well, let me ask you a question because you brought up something really good there. This is where it comes back to this document. This is where it comes back here. There's going to be a lot of people that read this document and they go, oh, Christianity, as what you're talking about, where we stay true to form, what the Bible teaches, and all these things like this, we're going to start seeing churches who have been. How many times have you seen a secular church? I know I have.
Yeah.
Whatever the flavor of the week is in the real world, they teach about it.
Yeah.
They talk about it. It's okay.
They somehow manage to make the gospel. They change the gospel to match the society instead of changing society
to match.
match
That's
the
exactly
gospel.
right.
Yeah.
That's exactly what they do.
And it's dangerous. You got to be careful.
So
of that.
how many people are we going to see now that start to read documents like this? And when you talk about God and only God, when you talk about Christ and only Christ, this is where I think your violence is going to start.
That's your John MacArthur thing, right?
That's where
he's gotten in more trouble saying Christ alone.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. I mean,
and by the way, that is scriptural. That's the answer.
That's the answer.
Faith alone in Christ alone,
Yeah.
and that's it.
Yeah. There's no other alternatives out here.
Doesn't make everyone else evil, but it does make them unsaved, whether you like it or not.
Do you know how many people Christ went to that weren't saved, and he never ever looked at them and go, except for the Pharisees and the Sadducees. I will say that, but they were keeping people from religion. They weren't teaching people to have a personal relationship with Christ. They were teaching people that they had to come to them.
Have a personal relationship with them.
Yeah,
so,
you had to pay your money to them and all these things like this. But yet they weren't taking that money and using it the way they should. And if you didn't follow underneath their guidelines, they'd kick you out. And this was a social club. You lost business that way. Nobody would shop at your shop anymore. That's what I'm afraid is going to start happening.
And as a pastor, as somebody that teaches a Bible study online, somebody that leads recovery programs and mentors people one-on-one and preaches, I say maybe every Bible study that if all I do tonight is put you in relationship with me, if all I do through this Bible study is get you to agree with what I say is the Bible means, my hermeneutics, then I failed you. If all I've done is put you in relationship with my church or the people in my church, I failed you as your pastor.
Right.
So the idea is that you do the footwork yourself and get in that relationship with your Creator yourself. Now, hopefully you pick the right pastor to guide you to that process and don't pick that guy in Arizona that thinks we should be hanging homosexuals.
Yeah. Show me the scripture where, he's going to say, well, the Old
Leviticus.
Testament. Yeah, Leviticus. Yeah. Well, okay. Then to me, you're not following Christ.
No. And
look, Anyway.
And if you can't separate the morality from the legality,
Yeah, that's where you have an issue.
then you're not really strong as a pastor, you know?
Yep. I just I worry that, okay, I'm going to try to land this plane today because you said something earlier.
I'm going to read some comments too, but go on.
Okay. Well, go ahead and read the comments. Read the comments because
You want to close with your thing.
This is my close.
We're already at an hour. So.
Okay, well, so what?
So here's Patrick says, people can be so vile, hypocritical while hiding behind the Christian moniker. There are many pretentious Christians out there, and those lost look at them as examples and reject God in their life. And that's exactly right.
Yeah.
So there's a difference between information and transformation. So it is evangelism, Patrick, you're right, is a program of attraction. If I don't have something you want, if I'm not living my life the way I preach on Sunday, it doesn't matter what I say on Sunday, or it shouldn't matter at least what I say on Sunday. That's a very good comment. Hi, Jackie, Wendy, Marion, who else has been watching here? Vicky, Jim, Lawrence, Doug, James, a lot of people watching today. Dave, it's good to have you guys here. By the way, if you're watching this, hit the like button so that forces Facebook to share this more, because this is not the kind of content that they're going to put on Front Street because it's a right-wing or a Christian message. They're going to be reluctant to promote this. But if you like it a lot, the computers will promote it unbeknownst to them. Share this content when you see it. We're going to have to circumvent the system, because if you don't think that, by the way, if you don't think that Facebook and YouTube and Twitter are censoring a conservative or a Christian worldview, you've got a lot of homework to do, because it is going on like crazy, and that should scare the hell out of people on the left too.
Yeah,
I mean, that's a big problem. Any American should not be okay with that, regardless of the consequences that you feel are coming. So I want to thank you guys all for watching, by the way. Patrick, again, we have churches who water down, play down, revise, or omit gospel teachings from their homily. The goal is to soften the concept and to prevent offending the flock. Absolutely right. So if you are delivering a gospel message and you're not offending somebody, you're doing it wrong.
If you're not stepping on a toe.
If you are all things to all people and you have 15,000 members in your church, you're probably doing something wrong.
Right.
If the enemy, if you're on easy street with your church and the enemy never comes against you, you're probably doing something wrong. So I look at the hard times that we go through as confirmation that we're doing something right spiritually. Sure. Thank you very much, Patrick, for your comments, by the way. All right, James, the floor is yours, buddy. Take us out of here.
So we were having this conversation before we came live, and you were talking about it, and I feel the same way. I mean, I truly do. But unless there's a miracle, we have at least 4 years of an administration that is not going to be good to the church or good to the people, good to anybody. And so we feel hurt because we worked so hard to continue what we were doing that a piece of us has been broken and kind of wants to sit on the sideline and just not do anything.
Yeah.
I don't care anymore. We can't do that. We have to support each other, and we have to continue the fight. This has got to be a fight that we take literally, possibly, to the streets. And when I say that is I myself have to get over a stigmatism that I have because I don't like crowds. I can't stand crowds.
I'm uncomfortable in big crowds.
But if there is a rally, we need to go.
Yeah.
If there is something that
peaceful
we can do.
Protest, peaceful assembly.
Exactly. If there is something that we can do, then we need to do it. I have a friend of mine that tries to go to everything. I need to be more like him.
Yeah. I don't go to anything. I mean, I don't get out much.
Where people are talking about buying up arms, buying up ammunition, all these things like this, take a piece of that money and give it to organizations that are fighting out here for us.
Yeah.
You know, how much is enough? I've got 10,000 rounds of 223. You'll never use it all.
Yeah.
Trust me, if you got 10,000 rounds of 223, somebody's watching you. There's just no doubt in my mind.
Yeah.
They know you. So we have to continue to fight, though. We cannot not let this roll over us. I'm looking at our states now. I love living in Florida. You and I both said the same thing. I love living in Florida because, if anything, I hope the state stands up and says, nuh-uh.
And we have a government in place for a few years now, by the way. We've gone pretty red in Florida.
Yeah.
But they are Governor DeSantis, our local sheriff,
Yeah.
Sheriff Naco. That
Polk
guy,
County.
that guy that I just read before we went on the air, I
Yeah.
forget his name, Sabatini, maybe.
Yeah. Yep.
It's good. I never thought I'd say this as a transplanted New Yorker, but it's good to be a Floridian right now. And here's even crazier: it's good to live in Pasco County with Sheriff Naco as who went on TV and said, "Listen, don't expect my deputies to be shutting down churches. We're not going to do that."
Yeah. Yep.
So it's a good time to be a Christian. It's a good time to be a Floridian, and it's a good time to certainly be a Pascoian.
And I don't like the way that we're like growing right now. But if you're from an area that you feel unfortunate and that you want to move to a place that is a little more red, then I would suggest that you come to Pasco because we have plenty of places to live at right now.
Yeah.
I mean, we're booming here.
And don't bring your commie ideology.
Yeah, don't bring it down here because it won't work. It won't work. Don't bring that blue mind down here. It's not going to happen. But I just think that we have to fight. And I mean, that's kind of why we started this right here, is that we got to get Christians to stop being meek and want to stand on the sideline and say, hey, well, that's okay. So what if they take the 10 Commandments out of the government offices? No, really? I mean, that's how we were built. When you read this whole document, it's like they're changing everything that our forefathers fought for.
Yeah.
They want to make it that our forefathers really meant this. No, they didn't.
Yeah.
They based it on Christianity.
Yeah.
They based it on all men are equal. All men have equal rights. They based that. And so when I read things like this, there's a fight. There's a fight.
And they accuse the Christians of revisionism, but they're revisionists.
Yeah.
They include them of they accuse them of being intolerant, but they're the ones that are intolerant as well.
Yep.
And that doesn't mean that all Christians are intolerant. But I think they're making a big mistake by looking at Christianity. And maybe this is the answer for my nighttime podcast, the God Logic Project. Maybe I should be getting pastors in different denominations come in here and talk about the differences in Christians, because it's not a homogenous group. We don't all believe the same thing.
No, we don't.
And so the idea that we need to be divided into groups, that intersectionality is incredibly dangerous. And the thing that's worked more than anything for this country since the civil rights movement has been take people one at a time. I was taught that. I taught my kids that.
Right.
And now we're called, instead of judging people by the content of their character, we're literally called to judge them by their race or their religion or their sexual orientation, that we're supposed to be divided. How does that make sense to anyone? How could that possibly make sense to anyone? It's a powerful delusion that Scripture warns us about.
And they are trying to show religion as being the bad guy.
Yeah.
They're trying to.
And the Bible told us this day would come.
They will drag you out of the churches.
Yeah.
Yes, I just think that we have to really, really gather together and fight this.
Well, I love the fact that this was a really good show, by the way, because this is I think this conversation is so important to have. Especially, by the way, I don't think Trump's going anywhere. I don't think we have 4 years. I would like to have 4 years.
I'd like to have 4 years,
but to prepare for anarchy or whatever's coming. But I think you might have 4 months. 4 weeks at this point. It's so important that we have these conversations, and it's so important that we're reasonable, right? So, and if this show does anything, I hope it shows a reasonableness within the Christian church. Right, so you and I don't agree on everything. Me and my lead pastor don't agree on everything, but we do work side by side to protect and promote the church, and just like the first apostles did.
Right. Like I said, when you go and look at the Bible, there wasn't divisiveness. There was just a difference in how they understood it.
Yeah.
And that's what makes, as long as we're following what the Scripture says. Paul was so much on grace.
Yeah.
James talked about faith without works.
Yeah.
And I think that when you merge these two separate things together and really put them together, you come up with the perfect.
They're both in the Bible because they both belong in the Bible. So the classic argument between Calvinism and Arminianism, and I always felt that both existed, right? And I won't go into it, but I heard a pastor who's had a fall, but a guy I really loved, Mark Driscoll, said years ago that if you believe both, you're confused. And so I can't see that if they both made the Bible, right? If free will and election are in the Bible, we need to hash that out. We don't need to pick sides. We don't need to intersectionality within the church, right? And again, the influence of the secular world maybe on the inside of the church is a cancer.
Well, I want to address that just real quick.
Okay.
I believe in total grace, because if not, I would not be sitting here today.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just
especially
all
you.
Yeah.
I mean, I was going to heaven one way or another, but you're a long shot.
But the other part behind it is, I truly feel that if you are a Christian, you should be wanting to do things for Christ.
The work should be irresistible.
Irresistible.
Yeah.
It should be something that you live for, that you want. So I understand where James comes across with this, because I've seen Christians that show no fruit at all.
No, and we're supposed to know each other by the fruit.
By the fruit that we do.
So and some of that's bad fruit, right? So I heard Tim Keller say. Tim Keller's a guy that I love, and he's kind of a liberal but a Bible-centered pastor. But he's a little liberal for my taste, but certainly Scripture-focused, right? A lot of psychology involved. But he said he was quoting someone else when he said that your God is whatever your heart ponders in solitude. So the thing that you think about when you're all alone is your God. If it's money, if it's sex, if it's relationship, whatever it is, status. I like that quote because in my quiet time, I'm considering my salvation and my work and my call and things like that. I'm studying.
I do too.
So to me, that's affirmation or confirmation of that, regardless of whether I please everyone, and I don't, you know that personally. That at least I'm staying Christ-centered, you know. That's what I try to encourage other folks to do.
And that's, like I said, the scripture I read to you. It's when we get up in the morning, we ask, "What is for today?" So, all right, let's go.
We got to wrap this show up. We'll be here all day. We'll be out in the circle. We'll be in the parking lot talking about this for an hour. 2021.
All right.
2021 tomorrow.
Right around the corner. Ask God what He's got for you. He's got a plan for you. I mean, seriously, people, get out here and ask Him. Be serious about this. Be silent for a while and listen to the conversation. What He did for me, especially in 2020 when everything shut down, was that He talked to me about finally getting the book out, in which, we wrote it. I probably would still be sitting there, like a chapter every 2 or 3 months, But yet when COVID happened and we started getting churches canceling the training, I had to do something. I couldn't sit there. So what did we do? We started doing live. We started doing this. We started doing all sorts of things because we felt God lead us and say, hey, look, I'm here, use me, and you have a talent, so let God use that talent and explode his kingdom. Truly. Let's get out here and let's do it.
Yeah.
So 2021, ask God where He's got you and where He wants you to be.
That's cease fighting everybody and everything, and do the next right thing in the next right way, and you won't fail. So, to me, the guys that I work with one-on-one, and if I was going to work with a social group as a whole, I would have to have the same approach. It's a thing of personal. The gospel message, the foundation of the gospel message, is a message of personal responsibility.
Sure it is. Yep.
So, what do you got to do today to get through today? Be reasonably happy. Don't hurt anybody.
Right.
Help somebody and learn something new. Now, Joel Osteen and Tony Robbins aren't going to sell a lot of self-help motivation packs with that kind of philosophy, but do it 365 days in a row. Let me know what your life's like a year from now. I'll gladly refund your misery.
Right.
It's fine. All right, let's sign. How do we sign off? We don't even have an intro or a sign off.
I don't know.
That's it. No one told you they love you today. We love you.
We love you. Yep. Give us a call. Give us messages. Send us stuff. Let us know that you watched this. Tell us what you think.
Yeah, interact. And if there's a topic you want to discuss, put it in the comments section. You want to be on the show, we could do it via Zoom. We could have you in the studio. We got our own private little studio here to do all this stuff. Let us know. Be part of this conversation. But I do appreciate you guys listening. Share this content. Comment. Give it a thumbs up. Let's trick the algorithm into sharing this content. It only takes a second. It's no big deal, but it does help. It really does if enough people do it. That's it.
All right. Y'all be safe out there. God bless you. God bless this country.
Yeah, man. God bless. Thank you.